Hashivenu Adonai Elecha. Good Yantiv, everybody. Happy New Year. It's wonderful to see all of you here tonight. We just heard from our beautiful choir. Thank you, John. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'ashuva. God, turn us, cause us to move, cause us to turn back, to turn toward you, to turn to one another, to turn as one, our hearts united in our beautiful space. People always come to Yom Kippur expecting a certain dour solemnity. And there's definitely a seriousness about this day. But as I'll tell anybody who wants to listen, Yom Kippur is also a deeply happy day. It is a day for coming back to first principles, for identifying the changes that we want to make and committing to follow through, for healing relationships that are broken and finding a new way forward, a better way in the new year. And so, our hearts united together, we begin this most holy day, this Yom HaKippurim, Day of Atonement, as we together make atonement. And we light the festival candles. I invite Sarah Mervine and Sophie Mervine-Schiff to please come forward. The candle blessing can be found on page 9.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Yom HaKippurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh. Amen. Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul.
Please rise.
And Kol Nidre, its sacred portal, a night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling. We rejoice at the sound of Kol Nidre, rhythmic words of release from vows, oaths, and promises to God we fail to keep. We tremble at the melody, music of spiritual amazement. It fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah. We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by community in this hour of shared weakness and humility. We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding. We rejoice that we commit ourselves to great endeavors because we feel so deeply and think so nobly. We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises surpass our might. We rejoice in the freedom that is Kol Nidre's true gift, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to be God's image in the world. We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidre to face our humanity. בישיבה של מעלה ובישיבה של מטה על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל אנו מתירים להתפלל
With one voice, assembled sages past and present declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly. Page 18. Veserei, Vechonamei, Vechonamei, Vechinuyei, Vechinusei, Ushevut. Darna Udeishtabana Udeacharimna Sana Sharon, Shevikin, Shevitin, Beteinu Mevotalin, La Shevirin, Kayamin, Just to make sure our physician on call can please come to the front near the exit sign. Thank you very much. We continue on page 20. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, Salachti kidvarecha, I forgive as you have asked. Okay, friend.
Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha. Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha. Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha. Salachti kidvarecha.
We turn to page 22 for our call to worship. Page 25. Day and night are yours, creative spirit of the universe, the muted colors of twilight, the radiance of dawn. Yours are the spreading wings of light, the deepening shadows of darkness, and ever-changing drama. In the human heart, too, this struggle between darkness and light unfolds. From sunlit heights of generosity, the human heart sinks to the gloomy depths of selfishness. Although we fall, you give us the strength to rise again. You call on those who hurt through word or deed to break free from wrongdoing and return to you. All who hear your call to goodness are embraced. All who reject emptiness and evil find acceptance from you. We come into your presence this night of Kol Nidre, aware that our shortcomings and weaknesses are many. Yet, encouraged by your promise of forgiveness, we choose freely the path of repentance, restoring wholeness to our lives and holiness to the world. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamidim lo chalenu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, amariv aravim. Page 26, we read together. Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. Page 30.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. This time of year, I like to share a poem by the great Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai. And Amichai comes out of the world that a lot of Israelis would call the Chiloni. In Israel, there's somewhat of a polarity. You're Chiloni or you're Dati. You're secular or you're religious. Of course, those categories don't neatly map with what I understand to be the spiritual values of our people. And I think you'll hear in this poem that there is a spiritual yearning and a spiritual fighting in what Amichai writes in his relationship to God that is so deeply religiously Jewish. So here's what he writes. Elohim shochev al gabo mitachat latevel, tamid asuk betikun, tamid mashu mitkalkel. Ratziti liroto kulo, ach ani ro'eh rak et suliot na'alav, va'ani boche, vehi tehilato. God lies on his back under the world, Amichai writes, always busy with repairs, always something going wrong. I wanted to see all of him, but all I can see are the soles of his shoes. Hence my tears. and this is his praise. Page 40.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, narot tehilot osef eleh, malechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai. Gal Yisrael. Amen.
We turn to this prayer for peaceful rest and safety at night. Page 42, we'll read together. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom restore us, make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives. Be our shield. Make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, we who go forth to life. Watch over us, that we may come home in peace, now and till the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Share another poem by Marcia Falk. And she writes, sitting before a window with no desire but to see with the heart clearly, you watch the shadows come and go. You let yourself be forgiven. Clouds cross the sky, mending the roughened edges here and there, partway through your life. This section of the service, the Amidah, allows us a moment for ourselves, both communally and then perhaps to take a little bit of space in silence just to listen, to offer the own prayer of our heart. And as we do so, let these beautiful melodies that Rachel is singing, that the choir is singing so stirringly tonight, just course over you. Allow your mind to wander, your eyes to gaze perhaps to the shadow outside of this space. See the clouds that are darkened if you can, and maybe let them mend your own roughened edges. Prepare to forgive and to be forgiven. Please turn to page 46, and if it's comfortable, please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו, זוכרנו, זוכרנו לחיים, מלך, מלך חפץ בחיים, וחוטפנו, וחוטפנו בספר החיים, למענך, למענך, אלוקים חיים.
זוכרנו, זוכרנו, זוכרנו לחיים. מלך, מלך, חפץ בחיים. וחוטפנו, וחוטפנו בספר החיים. למענך, למענך, אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומק נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכה יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה לך חיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. Amen.
Page 60. You chose us with love to be messengers of mitzvot, and through us you made known your aspirations. Among all the many peoples, you gave us a pathway to holiness. Among all the great nations, you uplifted us and made yourself our sovereign. And so we seek you and serve you and celebrate our nearness to your presence. Your great and sacred name has become our calling. And so in your love eternal, our God, you have given us this day of Yom Kippur, a day on which our wrongs are forgiven with love, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our people's going out from Egypt. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, ya'aleh ve'yavo ve'yagia ve'yera'eh ve'yeratzeh ve'yishama ve'yipaged ve'yizacher zichronenu ufiktonenu ve'zichron avotenu ve'imotenu ve'zichron Yerushalayim ir kodshecha zichron kol amcha beit Yisrael lefanecha lefleta tova lechen l'chesed l'rachamim l'chaim l'shalom b'yom ha'kippurim hazeh. Eternal our God, remember us. Be mindful of us. And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Amen. Page 71, we read together. On this night of atonement, grant us, God, a sense of your presence as we call upon your name. Speak your hopeful message to each yearning heart and answer the worthy petitions of every searching soul. Purify and strengthen our noble strivings and cleanse us of all our unworthy desires. Join us together in fellowship and in love, and grant us the joy which comes from enriching other lives. Help us to be loyal to the heritage we share. Draw us near to Torah in wisdom and in faith. Strengthen our devotion to our people everywhere. Keep alive our faith in righteousness and truth. Bless us with hopes to uplift our daily lives, and keep steadfast our courage and our resolve at all times. On this night of atonement, help us, God, to be worthy of your presence as we call upon your name. You are blessed, Adonai, sovereign, who forgives our failings and pardons the failings of your people, the house of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mochel v'soleach la'avonotenu, la'avonot amo beit Yisrael, u'ma'avir ashmotenu b'chol shana v'shana, melech al kol ha'aretz, mekadesh Yisrael, v'yom ha'kippurim. Please be seated.
Say Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tikabel Tamid
Page 74. God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness, morning, noon, and night. We call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all time. For these gifts, God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. Inscribe us, your covenant partners, for a life of goodness, and may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Together, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha, Ulecha Na'eh Lehodot.
Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Vetov Sefer Hayim beracha v'shalom. Beracha v'shalom u'parnasa tova. Beracha v'shalom nizaher v'nikatim lefanecha. Anachnu v'olam habet Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Osei hashalom.
We now enter the first vidui section of Yom Kippur. This is the confessional. We don't have something called a confessional in Judaism. There isn't a little box to walk into. I do not offer you absolution. Sorry if that's what you were looking forward to. I'm disappointing you. We each have an individual teshuvah journey to pursue. That's where we figure out what's gone wrong, the cheshbon hanefesh. We search out the people whom we've harmed, and we make amends. That's teshuvah. But here we have a collective opportunity to make amends. This is between us and God. And we do it in the plural because we know that even though not all of us did all of these things, all of us play a role in what goes wrong in some way. And therefore, all of us must play a role in helping what went wrong go right. And so you'll see the tradition is to gently tap on the chest during the Al Chet. I don't personally interpret this as a punitive gesture. This is not us beating ourselves up. It's us gently tapping the gates of the heart, because that heart tends to get hard and cynical over the year. And that tapping can maybe help shake it up a little bit, encourage it to gently open. We open the gates of the heart. Page 82. Let's read together in the middle of the page. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Tavo, Tavo levanecha, tefilateinu, ve'al olam mitchinateinu, she'ein anachnu azefanim uk'she'aref lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu tzadikim anachnu v'lo chatanu אנחנו חטאנו.
Please rise.
Ay, 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 ay,
Shamanu, Magadanu, Gazanu, Dibarnu Dofi, ay, 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 ay,
Evinu ve'ishanu zadnu chamasnu tafanu sheker ay 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 Yatsnura Kizavnu La
Inu oref. Ay, 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 ay.
Rashanu, Shichadnu, Tiavnu, Tiainu, Titanu.
God, our turning away from your mitzvot and laws of goodness is a hollow pursuit. You are just concerning all that happens in our lives. Your way is the way of truth, while ours leads to error. What can we say to you whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself? Every hidden mystery, every revelation, surely you know them all. You know the secrets of the universe and of the human heart. You know and understand us, for you examine our inner selves. Nothing is concealed from you, nothing hidden. Eternal One, our God and God of our ancestors, we pray that this be your will. Forgive all our wrongs. Pardon us for every act of injustice. Help us atone for all our moral failures. Page 86. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזדון ובשגגה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בדיבור פה. Together, the ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world.
through the words of our mouths.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בטיפשות פה.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ברכילות.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים.
The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בווידוי פה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בהונאת רע.
The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במשא ובמתן.
The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business.
For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, together, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Kulam Elo Aselichot Selach lanu Nechalanu Kaper lanu. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha begalui uvasater, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha befrikat ol.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha begilui arayot, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'ma'achal u'v'mishteh.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'neshech u'v'marbit.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'latzon, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'nitiyat garon.
The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tum'at sfatayim.
the ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצערות עין.
The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit.
Together, for all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו. ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
Please be seated.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus verachem aleinu aleinu V'kabel berachamim, berachamim uvratzon et tefilatenu. Hashiveinu Adonai elecha, Hashiveinu elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh yameinu, yameinu kekedem. אל תשליכנו אל תשליכנו Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus verachem aleinu aleinu וקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו.
You might have heard the one about Goldberg and Schwartz. No, I am not talking about Karen and Marlene. This is really how this joke goes. Goldberg and Schwartz are walking down the road when they run into another certain someone. "Where are you going?" this person asks. "We're headed to synagogue, of course," they reply. "Huh. Well, I see why Goldberg goes to synagogue," the man says. "Goldberg believes in God, but Schwartz, you do not believe in God, so why are you going?" Schwartz replies, "Goldberg goes to talk to God, and I go to talk to Goldberg." You've heard it, right? Another one, okay? This one's from the author Michael Chabon, who writes, "I was always a little uneasy when people started talking about going to hell, a concept from which Jews have been trying to distance ourselves ever since the day we invented it." Why do we laugh? Why do we enjoy these jokes? I love them because they tell the truth. We Jews inherit these powerful spiritual concepts and then become alienated from them when they stop working for us. Whether you believe in God, whether you don't, or whether, like my grandpa Potter, alav hashalom, you are a pretty devout atheist but find yourself praying anyway, this sermon is for you. Either which way, if you feel exactly the same way about God by the end, I didn't do my job. Here's another classic. Here's what a rabbi might say. Schwartz comes to the rabbi absolutely convinced that God does not exist, so the rabbi says, "Okay, tell me about the God you don't believe in. I probably don't believe in that God either." Imagine that you were Schwartz. What would you say? Perhaps you'd speak of the old man with a white beard sitting somewhere on a throne in the sky, spending all day deciding when the next hurricane will land, where it will land, picking who will be promoted and who will get cancer. A God who listens to our prayers if we're lucky, or perhaps only if we're pious enough. Does any of that sound familiar to you? These God concepts are so cliche that they've become almost assumptions lurking somewhere in the back of our collective psyche. That's a problem, in my opinion, because most of them kind of stink. Our High Holy Day prayer book, the one you have right here in your hands, this exposes us to a wide cross-section of metaphors, and many are challenging for modern readers. Our Father, our King, right? The direct translation of Avinu Malkeinu. Who shall live and who shall die in the Unetane Tokef? God appearing as judge and jury and executioner. Many blessings address God as Lord and King. Melech HaOlam, Adonai. This language emerges from a world of nobles and peasants. But it's 2023. It's 5784. Why would we want to spend our spiritual energy living in fear of the king's decree? These metaphors are evocative, but narrow. Why use metaphors at all, you might ask? Because that to which we apply the absolute shortest of shorthands by calling God is so far beyond the constraints of human language that we must rely on metaphors even to say anything at all. As my teacher, Rabbi Danny Zemmel, says, Our God metaphors are broken because they are mostly not our metaphors. Furthermore, the way we talk about something shapes our perception of that thing. So the first problem many of us have vis-a-vis God is a problem of language. I'll name another obstacle, a big one, belief. Many of us from our highly Christian-influenced society have internalized the idea that living a religious life requires believing in God, and that believing means something specific. The truth is that Judaism is much more concerned with the doing than the believing. Showing up to shul, lighting the Shabbat candles with your family, helping others through tzedakah. We do not check your God ID at the door here. On the other hand, believing in things does matter. It's part of showing up for what we care about. And beliefs evolve. They can change over our lives. Think, in this case, the journey and not the destination, the exploration and not the rigid dogma. Does anyone experience total certainty about God? If you do, I'd be interested to talk to you, because I certainly don't. The struggle with God is encoded in our name as a people, in fact. In the Torah, our ancestor Jacob, remember that famous scene where he wrestles with that mysterious character, that Ish, until daybreak? And for his efforts, he receives a new name. His new name is Yisrael, meaning struggles with God. So 4,000 years later, we, the people of Yisrael, must also struggle with God for blessing. That's what the mysterious person or creature says to Jacob. He has to get a blessing first. So we struggle. We are Yisrael, God's strugglers. These are two sides of the coin, my friends. The belief and the doubt are intimately connected. The push and pull between them is stamped in our spiritual DNA. Now, this push and pull can turn to crisis at times, especially when traumatic events befall us. At certain points, we must ask, how can God be good, even though the world is so full of evil? Why do the righteous suffer while the wicked prosper? This is probably the number one question I get from my bar and bat mitzvah students ahead of their big day. On the other hand, though, trying times can also bring us closer to God. Have you heard that there are no atheists in foxholes? As your rabbi, I encounter this most often at birth and at death. Meeting mortality tends to peel back a layer or two of whatever has hardened that heart that we are trying so hard to open. Last month, I entered the hospice room of a kind old man who was at death's door. His family held hands together in a circle as we offered him prayers in his final moments. The song he loved to hear calmed him for a brief moment. His breathing relaxed. God's presence, I believe, abided there. But nevertheless, in our day-to-day lives, we are faced with these obstacles and others. Language, belief. We could continue. There will be other sermons. I really tried to edit this one. There are many things that can stand between us and God. So what do we do about it? Now, I'm not going to solve the problem tonight, but I am going to offer a couple of suggestions, and I hope that some of them will help you think about this in a different way. The first suggestion is for your head. The second suggestion is for your heart. First of all, to get to God, let's establish for a moment what God is not. Idolatry, you've heard that word, right? It's an old-sounding word, but it just very simply means worshiping the wrong thing. And who can doubt that our society wants us to worship the wrong things? Money, youth, Instagram followers, we could name many others. Obsessive devotion to unworthy things destroys relationships. It makes us shallow and sick. Judaism says, let's do the opposite now. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is God, Adonai echad. God is one. There is only one true object of our worship. All else is unworthy. The next challenge then is obviously to try to figure out what is God and what is not God. The Protestant theologian Paul Tillich speaks about God as the focus of, quote, ultimate concern. Ultimate concern, he says. So things like dollars or human bodies or fame are finite, not infinite. They're transient, certainly not ultimate. Therefore, our culture's obsessive devotion to them is idolatrous. Consider the perspective of cultural critic Mark Manson, who writes as follows, and I quote, "There is no such thing as an atheist. We must all believe on faith that something is important. Even if you're a nihilist, you are believing on faith that nothing is more important than anything else." I think I paused from quoting him to say, if you are a strongly devoted atheist, you have a strong faith that there is no God. It is a type of religious faith. So in the end, and now I quote him again, it's all faith. The important question then is, faith in what? What do we choose to believe? Because all of us have faith in something. Still not convinced? Manson further explains, and I think here he's very much following in the pioneering work of the sociologist Emil Durkheim, who many of you have heard me speak about before. He explains that society is full of religions that we already think about religion as religion. Okay, on one hand, we can name a bunch of them, right? Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, right? Hinduism, Sikhism, we could go on and on. But also, society is full of ideological religions. Capitalism, communism, environmentalism. Any football fans in here? Have you ever said something like, football is my religion? Or skiing, or whatever it is? All of these things actually do share certain attributes. It's not just a figure of speech. There are meaningful symbols and important texts, songs that are sung, sometimes with a hand over a heart and a tear coming to an eye. Revered heroes, halls of fame, ways to forever enshrine our heroes in stone and statue and halls of fame and such. There's a strong communal aspect to all of these things. And there's always faith in an ultimate principle, a quote-unquote God concept. And here I say God concept with a little case G, because we're not, and some of you are now turning to each other and you're saying, what's my religion? What's our other religion other than Judaism? We're going to talk about that afterwards, I see. So all of these contain some common God concept, and all of us are now asking how many religions, lowercase r, are we also a part of? Maybe you're more religious than you originally thought. Do you invest in a 401k? Your faith is in the market. You're a believer, and your religion is called capitalism. Congratulations. You might have some criticisms for it, too, and that's okay. Do you follow the laws of the United States? No, I did not hire the police outside to check afterwards. This is not sworn testimony. Do you follow the laws of the United States? Do you vote? You're a believer in what? American civil religion. The Constitution is your Bible. Perhaps, as you hear me say that, you have some suggested edits or a preferred interpretive philosophy, but your participation in our society nevertheless reveals your faith in the system overall. Now, I saw some of you squirming a little bit when I suggested so intently that you believe in capitalism, you believe in American civics. If you felt a little discomfort, please allow me to welcome you to the ambivalence of belief. It's the same thing. It's not only normal to vacillate between faith and doubt in something, it's inevitable, it's human, it's part of what we create in society. I have some questions for God. You probably do too. Some of them are fairly pointed. But just because I have my doubts does not mean that I abandon my relationship. To the contrary, navigating that conflict and asking tough and honest questions is an honest part of the spiritual journey. It's not an embarrassment to confess doubt and challenge, to revile and shake our fists at the heavens. It's the most Jewish thing you could possibly do. This is the Jewish way with God. Encounter, experience, relationship. It's a journey, it's aspirational. In his book, I and Thou, the philosopher Martin Buber teaches us to look for God in the relationships that we have with one another. He argues that by encountering another with no ulterior motive, but rather with complete and genuine interest in the other, which he calls an I-thou relationship. Anybody read I and Thou? You read it back in college and it's been a while? It's kind of tough to get through, but it has some beautiful ideas in it. He says, whenever we have that I-thou relationship with another person, God's presence is there as the eternal thou in between. Now, modernity has elevated the rational mind to the exclusion of other ways of knowing. It confines the spiritual experience of a human being into a box of, at best, tolerated curiosities. What a shame. What a shame. Because the spiritual impulse is at the core of human nature. We need to feel connected. We yearn to feel a presence that transcends just me. We need to know that we matter to the bigger picture. And on some level, I have to believe that's why all of us are here tonight. Have you ever felt very small next to something very big? I don't know about you, but sometimes I get this feeling when I'm on a great hike or at a really good concert. Have you ever had that feeling where the little hairs on the back of your neck stand up? You get shivers down your spine. As my friend Reverend Kelly Ryan says, whoa, there is something really big here. It's that feeling. The feeling of losing yourself like a wave in the ocean. I know I started with the head, but truly the first place to find God is through the heart. We're programmed to feel awe, to feel wonder, but many people lose touch with those feelings as they grow up. To be open to the vastness and the beauty of the world around us, it requires a certain vulnerability, a certain heart knowing that maybe we think of as naive or innocent or unscientific. Oh, another religion, by the way, science, for a different sermon. If we can only get out of our heads, if we can only open our hearts, we'll find that the heart actually knows quite a lot. My heart began to know in a new way in a certain room at Yale Hospital this last May. It was a day that my son was born. My wife Susan was working harder than I have ever seen anyone work at anything. The nurses attending her, they were serving her with such devotion and gentleness. I later told them, there is a special corner of heaven just for you. I really believe this. And then there was that one moment, that indelible, life-altering moment, when I got to meet my son for the first time. I looked into his eyes, and looking back at me, I saw my ancestors, I saw my descendants, and I saw myself. I saw his brand new tiny little body, beautiful and helpless and mortal and so perfect. And who would have the audacity to tell me that in that moment, looking into his eyes, God was not looking back at me? I'm not going to tell you tonight you have to believe in God. But I am going to suggest a few things to try. You might find them meaningful, or maybe not, so you know what to keep going with and what to throw away. I hope you'll let me know how this goes over the next year. Step 1, blow up all the metaphors. God is not a king. God is not a man. God is not a social service agency. There is a world of rich metaphor from Jewish tradition, male and female and beyond gender. One of the great metaphors of the high holidays is the kol demama daka, that thin whisper of sound or the still small voice, which for me is the urging of our heart and our conscience in the small places where we really need to listen and pay attention when sometimes we don't remember to. Maybe that image works for you. Maybe not. So, what metaphor works for you? I'm asking you, I want to know. The book of Genesis says that humans were created in God's image. As modern Jews, we also have the responsibility to keep creating God in our image. Number 2, notice when you feel spiritually full or spiritually empty. How did you get there? Consider noticing a feeling that you didn't previously call spiritual, Gesundheit, or God, in a different way. Maybe that's what it truly was. 3, try imagining that there is a real and tangible piece of God, a tselem Elohim, a piece of God, in every single person that you meet. Everyone you talk to, the person on the customer service phone line especially. What might change for you? Number 4, let's talk about God. Let's talk about God a lot more. Please let me know what's going on with you and God. Ask other people if they'd like to talk about their God journey with you. Have you talked to your children about God? They won't learn everything in religious school. If they're too old for religious school, it's not too late. Also, consider writing a spiritual autobiography. Take notes on your journey. Write down what you notice and feel and hope for and think and doubt and challenge, and share it with someone or me or no one. Number 5, just pray. Again, this is about getting out of the head. Spirituality is a muscle to train just like any other muscle in the gym. So you've got to do something in order to make any progress. And you've got to do it again. Sure, come to services. As you know, I love seeing you. I love when our voices fill this room with prayer. But also, just pray. Pray anywhere. Start by saying the Shema every day. Start simply. If you feel angry or grateful but don't have anyone to scream at or thank, God would be very happy to hear you out. And you can do it in any language you want. All right, here's the final one. Number 6, this is the hardest. Get vulnerable. God enters only through the heart. So we have to let down our defenses and manage our egos. And that means sometimes even working around the institutions, procedures, and beautiful services that we've established over years. I think it was Rabbi Larry Kushner who wrote a book called I'm God, You're Not, Organized Religion and Other other mistakes of the ego, or something like that. Sometimes organization and the prayer book actually are the barrier. They're the obstacle. If that's the case, put it down and start where you need to start. I'm happy to talk to you about that. It's not very often that I talk about what led me to becoming a rabbi. It happened more than a decade ago at a Yom Kippur Yizkor service, just like we'll have tomorrow. The music in this shul that I was in was melancholy and gorgeous, and I was looking around the room very much like this one, but of course I saw many eyes wet with tears and many others shut tight, withdrawn in memory. There was an unspoken grief coursing throughout that room. The cantor, who herself had just suffered the loss of a parent a couple of weeks before, she was overcome with emotion. Her voice faltered. She seemed to physically fall. And her struggle just filled that space with palpable compassion. Nobody spoke, but the community we could all feel was of one heart. It was a moment just like what Martin Buber was talking about, where the little spaces between people were filled up with the presence of God. In that moment, those little spaces didn't seem all that important. The Hasidic master called the Kotzker Rebbe once asked his students, "Where is God? Where is God?" And what did they say? Well, they started saying the sorts of things you would expect. God is everywhere. God is the primary cause of the world. God is the sole existence beyond existence. God is everything. No, 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 he said. God is wherever we let God in. So I say again, the heart knows more than we think. When we allow it to, the heart can open. Pitchu lanu sha'arei tzedek. Open, open you gates. Open, open.
Avinu Malkeinu Shema Koleinu Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha Avinu Malkeinu Chamal Aleinu Ve'al Oleinu Ve'tapeinu Avinu Malkeinu Kalei Chol Tzar Umastim Me'aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Avinu Malkeinu Kotveinu Besefer Chaim Tovim Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova Avinu Malkeinu Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova Avinu Malkeinu Shema Koleinu Shema Koleinu Shema Koleinu
114, 114.
Avinu Malkeinu Choneinu Vaneinu Avinu Malkeinu Choneinu Vaneinu Ki ein banu masim Aseh imanu Tzedaka v'chesed Aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed Ve'hoshienu Avinu Malkeinu Avinu Vaneinu Avinu Malkeinu Choneinu
Vaneinu ki ein banu maasim Aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed Aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed ve'oshienu.
We turn to page 119. Please rise. Sorry, 116.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל,
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגאור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 119. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא.
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד.
Please be seated. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years since the death of my teacher and my mentor and the president of Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, our movement's rabbinical seminary, Rabbi Dr. Aaron Pankin. And every year since he passed away, I've shared this remembrance from his sister, Rabbi Melinda Pankin, not only because it helps me think of my teacher, but I think because it helps us all think about grief. And she writes this: your death was not a one-time event, like a tornado or a bad first date, that harden into memory the minute they're over. No, you die over and over every day in more ways than I can count. It happens when I expect it, and especially when I don't. I lose you all over again when I eat a salad with tangy blue cheese dressing or a bowl of cold borscht, and when I notice the nubby knit of an Argyle sweater vest, and when I hear the buzzing of a Cessna kissing the clouds beneath a blue sky, and when something makes me laugh and I think you would have laughed too. I lose you again on birthdays and anniversaries, when your dependable sweet call never comes, no matter how much I expect it. I lose you at Passover, when your bowls and bowls of charoset from around the world are missing from the table. And now there will never be enough charoset on the table ever again. I lose you again and again, when your children get married and my children become bar and bat mitzvah and your grandchildren are born and you can't hold them and love them and make them laugh. You are so absent now where you were so present, and your death isn't in the past. It happens over and over, again and again, every day in ways both tiny and enormous. You keep dying, and I keep grieving. Our hearts join now in sympathy as we reflect on our own loved ones whom death has taken from us. And we join in solidarity together with our brothers and sisters from all around the Jewish world in this time of memory. I invite us to join together for the mourner's Kaddish, and please rise. Kaddish Yatom is on page 122. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yireutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'le'olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'it hadar, v'it alev, v'it halal, shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela, mikol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. May the source of shalom bring peace to the hearts of all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved among our people. As together we say, amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav, Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru, amen.
We can all have a seat. Good Yantif, everybody, and always good to be together, especially this year in this beautiful space, to be back home. There are many people to thank for making tonight possible, and I'll say at the outset that it's such a village that if I forgot you, I deeply apologize, because I also do care very much for the effort that you're putting in, but it's just so many of us, sometimes I forget. So thank you to Rachel Polakar, our wonderful cantorial soloist, who you wouldn't know is not an ordained cantor, given the skill and beauty that she brings to the bima. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you to our wonderful, steady accompanist of many decades, Walter, for being there always for us, and for our choir for their beautiful voices to inspire us. I also, tonight especially, wanted to thank Patty Smith-Romansky and Bill Speed, who bring their absolutely transcendent music that just opens the heart, and it always does. So thank you. It's a gift. Thank you to our staff team, to all of our ushers and parkers and security, to John on the sound, very subtly on the sliders, making everything sound very good, and to Susie who helps with the stream. And we can all say shalom to everybody who's been tuning in from home or for wherever you are. You're very much with us tonight as well. Oh, and also, of course, to our medical volunteers. Thank you. It's a special time to remind us that we're supposed to find spiritual meaning in the fast and not be harmed by it. So if you're not feeling well, you have rabbinic dispensation always, if your health is at all in question, to break your fast. And we have some snacks and water for you. Kim has those standing by. And we also have physicians on call at each service. So please take good care of yourself. Tomorrow, our morning service will be right back here in the same place at 10 a.m. and also on our live stream. Our discussion group will be in the afternoon at 10:30. That's led by our new interim educator, Ira Wise. No, I'm seeing no. It's at 2 p.m. Did I get it wrong? It's at 2 p.m. and the family service is at 2:30. I told you I would get something wrong. Okay, so the family service will be back here in 2:30 p.m. That will not be streamed. That will be in person only. And then Mincha, Yizkor, and Ne'ilah will start beginning at 4 p.m., followed by, of course, our wonderful Break the Fast. And we're very excited that Bennett and Arlene Paul are organizing that once again. Also, of course, the nature of these days is that we have more holidays after Yom Kippur. So hopefully we'll see you next Friday night for Erev Sukkot. It's lovely that it falls on a Shabbat. And we're going to be celebrating the dedication of a brand new TBT Sukkah for the first time in a couple decades in the memory of Henry Gettenberg. It's going to be very special. See you there. A few programmatic announcements now. First, TBT is going to Israel. We have, and I'm very excited to announce, a core group of 10 families who will be meeting after the high holidays about a family trip to Israel. It's in 2024 or 2025, exact date to be decided on by the group. So you're not at all too late. If you want to be a part of that, please let me know and we'll get you in that meeting. Second, the Chesed Committee is in need of volunteers. This committee represents a core value of Judaism. Chesed means loving, commitment, and care. And it speaks to our call to be of service to others. Amy Lee and Leslie Hyman will be sending out an improved survey after the holidays, and they encourage you to think about how you might like to participate in this important endeavor. Kulanu, our group about combating anti-Semitism, is hosting an event on October 22nd together with the ADL called Dare to Lead, Brave Conversations. It's an interactive workshop about confronting anti-Semitism. Attendance is limited to 50 adults, first come, first serve. Please call the office to sign up. If you've been to a Kulanu event before, you know how much thought they put into it. It's going to be very special. Finally, Kesher. Have you ever wanted to know what it means to go skiing with a Jewish group of Jewish skiers? How about cooking yummy Jewish food in our brand new kitchen? We have a small group for those initiatives and several others that may be of interest called Kesher, small groups, and this is the month to sign up. It's low commitment, high enrichment. Please see the weekly email or check out the table at the Break the Fast for more details. Friends, I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow morning as we continue our worship on this holiest of holy days on the Jewish calendar. And I end with this reflection by the poet Marge Piercy, who writes, "Now you must void yourself of injuries, insults, and incursions. Go with empty hands to those you have hurt and make amends. It is not too late. It is early and about to grow. Now is the time to do what you know you must and have feared to begin. Your face is dark, too, as you turn inward to face yourself, the hidden twin of all you must grow to be. Forgive the dead year. Forgive yourself. What will be wants to push through your fingers." May we all be written for goodness this day, this year, with blessing in the book of life. L'shana tova tikatevu.
L'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, tikatevu, l'shana tova, l'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, tikatevu, l'shana
tova.
No, that's not true, actually. No, I was happy. It was good.
It's so fun to sing with you, my dear. Your family brings so much to this. Thank you. It does. It does. True. Oh, good.